Alright, what is going on, guys? Today I'm going to showcase my pull workout that I did the day after the push workout with Luca. Let's go. So for this exercise, it has been a while that I didn't train with that type of template, so it was just a very interesting day for me to do that. So I began my day with the neutral grip chin-up, which is one of my all-time favorite for multiple reasons. For the new ones here, neutral grip chin-up is the least stressful on the joint and most easiest position for you to actually use heavier weight and go as hard as possibly on both the elbow flexors and the lats and upper back. So basically the biceps, brachialis, brachioradialis, and also lats, teres major, traps, etc. So as a bodybuilder, my goal is not necessarily to have like a very specific clean form that is appreciated by everyone. My form is going to be dictated by my goals, and here I just wanted to do as much arm as possible, but with some back. And as you can see here, I did a little test with 4 plates. It's been a while that I didn't do it. Not really good form, but still kind of acceptable in my book. The goal here was actually to work with 3 plate. So you can see I'm not going as high as I originally did during my warm-up. It is because on the warm-up, I want to do one of the most default form as possible just to keep the habit, but actually with my working set I will be doing what I want to do, which is in that case, as I said, literally curling myself up and just pulling slightly the elbow down. This way my pull-up is as arm-centric as possible, but still with some good back stimuli. This is why this may look very loose and even kind of a wrong form. But the goal here really is just to work the arm as much as possible. Why the arm? Well, simply because it is a weak point compared to my back, and that is what I need to absolutely focus if I do a pull workout and not let my back steal all the work, because this is what it did already for a few years. Afterward, I went onto the hammer strength flat pull down, which is a fantastic machine, and I did it unilaterally. Why? Quite simple. When you're doing a lat work, you have to have at least one unilateral work, because lats are essentially extra wide muscle. They go from your shoulder all the way down to your hip, and they cross path with the low thoracic and full lumbar spine. So this cover up basically half your back and a bit more. That way, this means that if you want to have a complete movement, in a sense, you have to twist yourself and you have to go unilaterally to be able to have this freedom of movement. And what better than one of the best machines ever to do so? With that machine, I am able to have some kind of semi-supinated grip, as you can see, a path that is basically fixed, but where I can go with my elbow as low as I can in the angles that I want. And that angle, as you can see, is not very vertical, but it is still not really a rowing movement. It's an in-between. And here I train that with sternum pull-down. So sternum pull-down is a very old-school exercise. It's been popularized by Vinci Ronda, and that is basically the old-school way of finding one of the best stock movement for lat. Let me explain the reasoning. As I said before, the lat goes from the shoulder to the hip and basically cover half your lower back. What if you want to stretch it and to flex it as much as possible? You have to have this kind of motion where you're arching your back, you're coming up pretty vertically, but you're coming down literally horizontally. This is the essence here of a good lat movement along with a close grip, which is at the widest, basically shoulder width grip. And that is why this is one of the top best exercises. I did it with a semi-pronated grip, since I already did a pretty neutral and semi-supinated grip. And my goal was just to pull to my low chest and even my upper abs while arching the back. I'm not yanking, I am not cheating. This is very manageable weight for me. What I'm doing is just squeezing as hard as possible the lat, and that way I'm finishing the very shortened position if you want. Afterward, I went on to B10 pull down. So I know many of you may have heard, this is extremely dangerous. This is going to lead to shoulder problem, etc., etc. Well, actually, not really. If you have a mobility for it, you can do it. If you don't, try to work for it. And even if you work for it, there is no way you're doing it. Just don't do it. But it is an angle of a shoulder just like any other, and it is actually one of the most unique ones if you want to actually bias the teres major. The teres major is a big chunk of muscle sitting just near the armpit above the lat. So if you want a very wide back, if you really want to have the best lat spread in a sense that you possibly can, you have to kind of isolate or bias this teres major. And this also goes well with the teres minor and the infrasupinatus, basically the external rotator of the shoulder. Oh yeah, he said bye, but I didn't hear him. And yeah, basically one of the best external rotator shoulder exercise plus upper back. And you go with also a lot of external fibers onto the lats. As you can see, the angle of pulling is not very vertical. There is a slight diagonal pathway, and that is quite normal and natural, so do not bother try to go very vertical. Afterward, I wanted to do a T-bar row, but it was way too packed and taken, so I just said, and you know what, let me show you Smith bent over row. So some of you may be watching me right now and be thinking, what the hell is he doing? This is wrong for me, he's cheating, he's too upright. Well, let me explain why. First thing first, the Smith is actually what will dictate your bar path, since it's stuck, right? Second, adding hip extension and arching of the back only help with the squeezing of the muscle. You have to remember, right here, my lats are pretty much smoke, but I still want to finish whatever is left in it, and also stimulate a lot of traps and rear delt. Just so you see here, the way I'm putting my straps, since I have to rotate my wrist to unlock the bar, I'm putting it in a flex position, as you can see here. That way, when I will be rowing, the bar locking system will not come in my way, and it will not basically throw out my whole set. You can see here, they are sticking very vertical, but for that, I had to put my wrist in a flex position. That way here, they are under tension, and I'm not basically uncomfortable. What else can I say? Yeah, I finished the movement pretty upright, but it is all in the hip extension. And last thing I wanted to check out for you is my forearm compared to the bar path. You can see it very well here. It's pretty much parallel, and that is something that you have to keep for proper back movement when it's slat bias. After that, I went on to the biceps focus section or arm section. Not much equipment was available, so I just went for basically the all poor man preacher curl version, which is the concentration curl, one of my favorite arm exercise. Really easy to isolate the biceps, have a very good peak contraction at the top, and not much elbow stress. So do not hesitate to go heavy, but also do not hesitate to twist and incline your body to withstand better the stress, especially at the top, to avoid any kind of tendon overuse, both at the wrist and the elbow, especially if you have short biceps, which is my case. So that's why I'm doing it that way. And I superset that with wrist curl with fat grip, extreme fat grip, the orange thick one. That way it is much more difficult, but also more comfortable at the same time. The basis here is just to have very strong wrist flexor, but also to bulletproof and improve the wrist density and strength, I'd say, since I had very weak wrist during my career. And recently I had a little issue with my left one. That's why you can see me being way more careful when I'm setting up this one. But the basis of the movement is the same. Get a stable position, get the wrist into the void, and just, flex it. Not too much, not too little. Do not extend all the way down and do not flex all the way up. Afterward, I went on to the traps and neck portion. So some of you may be thinking that this pull workout is lacking some traps, and guess what? You're right. Hence why I'm doing the neck extension. Neck extension is, of course, very good for the back of the neck, for the neck extensors, and also for the upper traps, since the upper trap fiber are also neck extensor. But just before that, I want to finish off with the forearm movement and the arms as a whole. I superset it with reverse easy bar curl. Very, very light, both because of the wrist, because I was also very tired, and also because the easy bar here in that gym are not very curly. And it had been a while I did not do it. Last time I did it with basically one plate, but it was with a very curly, comfortable easy bar. Not that, which is basically almost straight in my book. As you can see, I'm bringing the barbell up to the nose, and I'm having also some slight shoulder flexion, and I'm bringing the elbow forward. That way, with whatever is left inside my biceps, it has to be brought here for the movement, so it's very complete. Getting back to the neck, I know some of you may be thinking it's useless and very dangerous, but just like anything, you go slow, you slowly add weight over time, and this is going to be fine. I have been training my neck for years, since 2015, basically. So I'm warming up. The goal here is to indulge with as much neck flexion and extension as possible, without injuring anything. So if you need more information, I've made guides about it. And I finally have been able to do 3 plates for pretty high reps, which was an issue for me for many months because of a few health issues. But now that I'm better, well, I can also strain harder on this type of movement. So it is extremely hard, but if you want that very yoked, almost half natty, fake natty, juiced look of the traps and the neck with the whole yoke area, this is going to be very fine. And, shout out for you to watch me and see my fuckery here. This is already done. I want to thank you all for watching. I'm doing a little posing at the end here, just to showcase a little how the physique is going. This was at the end of a recomb kind of lean cut phase, basically the end of summer, mid-fall, I'd say. Yeah, that's basically it, just checking the gains out, making sure that the posing is not too rusty, because it's been a while I didn't do any real proper posing section. I know that we'll be watching this late December, so if it's not the case already, if it's not past, I wish you a Merry Christmas, I wish you a God Yule, I wish you to have a great holiday with your family and to take this time to, slow down and appreciate life. And I hope to see you all very soon in 2024 for the next video. Until then, take care and bye-bye.